Hi, this is Mary Kay. I'm going to be demonstrating how to paint a panda bear on a paper called Masa paper. So the first thing that we have to do is get a piece of Masa paper, which is machine-made Japanese rice paper. It has a smooth side and a rough side, and I always paint on the rough side, but you can paint on both sides. And then you need a backing board and draw a line where your paper is going to go. So the first thing I did was I got my picture of my panda, and this is water-soluble graphite, and I traced it on there. But when it gets, we're going to wet this, and so we need to have a pencil mark that's going to stay. So I went over it again with a graphite pencil. So here's my drawing. The first thing I'm going to do is squirt my Masa paper with a spray bottle and wet both sides of it. I'm just going to make it be slightly damp. And now I'm going to crinkle it. I want to make some pretty hard little crinkles. I'm not sure I got this wet enough. I'm going to just dampen it a little bit more. That's actually pretty good. Okay, let me try it again. Okay, so I want to have lots of little crinkles in it. So I'm pressing it. It's breaking the sizing. It's what it's doing. Okay, I'm going to flatten this out a little bit later. Then I have to glue it down to my backing board. This is just Elmer's glue here. Sorry, this is... get the corners. And then I'm going to spread it out with my brush. I need a little bit more glue than this. So I'm just gonna, I have to just take my time here and put a little more glue out. I want it nice and smooth though, the glue. You can use wallpaper paste or glue. One thing I have to be careful right now is that I rinse out my brush because I don't want to ruin my brush with glue. Now I take my picture and I'm going to make sure that I cover those lines. I have his feet kind of low here, so I'm going to put more of this at the top. I don't want to flatten this until it's just 100% smoothed out. I like to have a few wrinkles in it still. It really adds to the feel of the painting. So I'm just pressing it down really well. I can always go back in later if these corners kind of pull up, and I can put a little more glue down later. Okay, so my paper's damp, it's crinkled, and it's pressed down. And what I'm going to do now is just start Well, first I'm rinsing out that brush really well so there's no glue in it. I don't want to ruin a $30 brush on a dollar piece of paper. Okay, so now that's my glue water. I'm putting it away, and I'm just going to paint the background loosely here. I see some yellows and blues in it, some greens, some oranges. It's a little bit damp. If I have oranges up in this area, I need to have some on this side down here too. I just want this blurry and loose in the background. I'm going to use a little bit of burnt sienna. And I'm going to mix up some green with both the yellow and Antwerp. I want this very light back here. That's the tree trunk right there. And I'm going to use, that was burnt sienna in Antwerp. Now I'm going to use yellow in Antwerp. A little lighter green that way. And I'm going to put some French ultramarine blue in here too. Just mix it into that green and kind of just so I'm going to go around my panda and this tree too, really. Now I'm just getting all that background in nice and blurry. So, little toenails. Okay, almost there. I'm going to cover this all so there's no white paper showing on the blurry, crinkly background. It looks kind of like a batik. And you can do this so many different ways with this paper. All right, there we go with that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start painting my panda. No, you know what? I'm going to go, it's still pretty damp, so I'm going to go to the trunk of the tree. I didn't want that color. Okay, here we go. Burnt sienna. And a little bit of French in there. Maybe a little bit of pink. Alrighty. So I'm painting my tree trunk. I'm using my number 10 round. And I'm painting from the top of the trunk down to the bottom. And I'm darkening the bottom and this top corner. I don't want my eye to go out there. This is a little pinker. It's like orangey pink down there in the trunk. Maybe not that orange. Adding French to that. It's so cute, hanging on the tree trunk. So the paper's getting a little drier now, so it's not blurring as much, and I'm able to leave more whites. Same thing on these two corners. I need to have my corners darkened. So that my eye doesn't go out those corners. And the shadow is at the bottom of the trunk. So I'm putting more of this dark brown that I made. On the bottom of the trunk, and then also this corner, because I need that to be darker. I'm going to put those little leaves in and the branches for the bamboo leaves later. Right, there is just a couple spots of light green up here, in here in the trunk here. I want to put these in now or later. I'm going to put some in now, but mostly I'm going to do later. Okay, now I'm going to go to the panda bear, and I'm going to start with, I'm going to clean this up. Those will be my shadow colors though, so maybe I don't want to clean those up. I'll clean this up. I want a nice place to do some darks for my panda bear, the black. So I'm going to use neutral tint, which is this. And I want to add some French ultramarine blue into it, have a blue tint to it. I want to mist my my little toenails. Okay, so it's drying now. And I'm going to try to go around. I'm going to leave some little toenails. I want to have it nice and dark. So I just keep mixing up this nice dark paint so that the panda has got a very, very dark color to its dark spots. And here I want this to be just a little bit not so dark, because there's some lights and some darks there. Okay, so I'm just making up more and more neutral tint with French ultramarine blue. There's your leg. And then I'll go up to this arm, or I guess it's a leg, but this one near his shoulder. This is his shoulder. Working with this Masa paper and using this technique is a great way to do portraits of elderly people, because you don't have to paint the wrinkles in. The wrinkles are already there. I've done portraits of both my mom and dad. Okay, I don't see any toenails on this side, or little paw pads. This one's just here. This foot down here, though, I see them. So I want to go around them again here. So cute. I'm using my big brush, just the tip of it, to go around those paw pads. If they're not perfect, it doesn't matter. Just trying to make it, just so you have the sense there's some light there. Some little paw pads. Okay, let's do that. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Cover those lines. Hello. Hi, you little fuzzy. Okay, ears. It's gonna bleed a little bit out because the top is still damp from the paint I put on there. And not sure. And this guy over here. I was gonna say I'm not. Whoops, that wasn't the color I wanted. Here, let me fix that. I'm not sure. I think there's little hairs going up in that ear that we can see. So I just put a couple little flicks there. And then this ear here. I'm still painting with my number 10. If you're watching this and this is your brush, let me know, because somebody left it with that little piece of green tape, and I just picked it up and started using it. Okay, so we have the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and then this little speckled part. So I do think, well, let me try here. So this speckled part here, if I just kind of touch the paper here and just sort of brush it with the belly of the brush right in here, I can get some paper showing. And some dark color. We'll go back in with the shadows later, but that's that main part there. Okay, now I'm going to go to my little brush. This is a very little brush. This is a number 1. I hardly ever use a number 1, but it just kind of fell out of my little pocket thing. So here we go. Now the nose has a little bit of a highlight at the top of the nose. I don't see any nostrils in this nose. I don't think we need to put them in. There's a little highlight at the top though, so that's just where you leave a little bit of the light showing. Now the eyes, so they have the big patches around their eyes, and then their eyes are black. And I'm always saying, oh, you have to have a glint in the eye. Well, in this case, we can't even see the eye, much less the glint in the eye. But I want to try to put it in anyway. But I want it to be very, very subtle. So I'm just going to go around like this. And then around. I'm just going to leave like a little light area. It's very small. I'm going to try on the other side now with my tiny little 1-inch brush. Okay, so it's on this side now. Going around. This little 1-inch brush has a few hairs that are going off on its own. This paper should be pretty dry here where I'm painting the eyes now. So the paint shouldn't bleed too much. Now where would this eye be? In the middle of it? Okay, so I left kind of a glint, like just the outer part of the circle is the glint. Okay, so I have 2 or 3 more things to do. I need to put a little bit of shadowing into the white part of the bear. I need to put a little more shadowing underneath the bear on the tree trunk, and then add the leaves and the bamboo. I'm going to go back to my number 10. Make sure it's nice and clean, this brush. And pick up these tree color shadow, the color from the tree, just a lot of water. And I want to just sort of put a little bit of shadowing underneath that ear, the cheek here, on the nose. Oh, I haven't put the mouth in yet. Now I've wet it to put the shadow in, so I gotta let that dry before I put that little shadow in. Seems to be kind of a little bit of a dark area right here. And then up here, there's some shadow. And in here. Just sort of adding a little water to make these edges of that fur sort of blend. And then underneath the panda bear is a shadow on the tree. So there's a little, it's light right there underneath the ear, and then there's the shadow of the ears right here, and then it comes down. This is good because this is hiding the pencil line. This is the shadow of the tree. And then we have that same, there's just a little more shadow down here. There's a little shadow in this corner here. So, and then over here next to the bear on this side is more shadow. One thing I don't really like is when these lines show up. And it's a tricky thing to avoid because when you're working with Masa paper and you use, say you want to use non-water soluble graphite or water soluble graphite, those lines will just all disappear. So it's kind of tricky to hide those lines, and I'm not really going to try. If I put this in a show, because the graphite lines are showing, I will have to say watercolor and graphite. He's almost done. I'm going to let the mouth dry while I put in these leaves. So I'm going to mix up some kind of bright yellow, put a little bit of Antwerp in that, get some green to it. And I'm just gonna flick some leaves in there. This is still damp, so it's charging in there. Here, some of those leaves are almost brownish. Could use the make the dark green. Just flicking, not really painting leaves, I'm just painting splotches. And then this needs to dry a little bit before I put those twigs up for the bamboo. One of the things I see happening is that my white paper has got green in it from the sky right there. So I'm going to very gently wet it and try to lift that up. If not, I can, and I have to be very, this paper rips really easily, so I can't do too much. That's about all I can do. I'm going to now put in his cute little smile. Okay, have to be brave here. I'm shaking a little bit. much coffee or I'm nervous on the video. I do think there needs to be a little bit more shadow right in there, so. And I think that little line goes out, right out the cheek. Did I get it? I don't know. I don't know if I did or not. The expression's important. I just made the nose bigger. Pretty close. So then the last step is that you put the mat over it. Just, it just goes right over the painting, like that. And you have your little completed painting. Oh, I didn't put the little twigs in yet. It's pretty wet. I'll just put them in. I'm going to use the dark neutral tint with a little bit of burnt sienna. Okay, so I'm just going to follow those little lines that are in the paper already. So wherever the lines were in my Masa paper is where these lines are going. And then there can be some out here too. Can have a few out here. Okay, there we go. My little panda bear. Thanks for watching.